Welcome to Reddit Aliens. Victims of sleep paralysis, what was your run-in with the sleep demon like? Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. I've only experienced it 3 times, but my first time was the worst. I've never had any visual encounters, but when it happened the first time, I was lying on my left side and started to feel that pressure on my chest. When I realized I was paralyzed and started panicking, something whispered in my ear, "Just coming to say goodnight." That's when I felt like something was pushing me towards the edge of my bed. Terrifying shit. I've had 3 sleep paralysis events in my life. 1. I saw a cat-sized shadow creature at the base of my bed, and it slowly crawled up to my sheets and finally up to my chest. I felt uncomfortable. 2. Another time I saw a shadow man walking around my room, disappearing behind my open door. This was the scariest one I've had so far. 3. This one was the best. I saw a couple of surreal-looking penguins walking around my bedroom. It was amusing and funny. I've read a lot of these sleep paralysis stories, and this is the first one I heard of cartoon-like penguins. Much more pleasant in my opinion. I get this on a regular basis, but mostly when I nap, not when I go to sleep for the night. I've never experienced the demon, but the experience is terrifying. I can see everything, or at least it seems like I can, but I'm unable to move. It feels like if I don't make every effort to move, I will be stuck like that forever. I usually have to start by wiggling a toe or a finger, and then keep that momentum going until I'm fully awake. It takes an extreme amount of effort, and if I don't keep the effort constant, I have to start all over again. I've had cycles of sleep paralysis for as long as I can remember, and regularly see 2 different demons. The hallucinations are visual, auditory, and you can physically feel them at times. They have become more vivid as I've gotten older. One is a tall, dark, hooded figure that always stood at the bottom of my bed. My scariest experience with him was when I woke up one night with sleep paralysis and the big spooky hooded bastard was standing right next to me. His hood was covering his face, but I knew he was watching me, and I knew he was evil. The second one I see is a smallish gremlin-type creature that's got pointy features and is a browny green color, very similar to the one in the painting. But I had seen him before I had seen the painting or even knew what sleep paralysis was. He normally appears when I'm on my back and restricts my breathing and speaks in a weird whispery language. I woke up once and he was crouching in the corner of the ceiling. When I looked at him, he turned his head and looked right at me and smiled. I woke up on my side once, and I could hear him behind me, speaking in his freaky language, and then I felt his snake-like tongue going in my ear and making a slithery noise. I can't tell how glad I am when I found out that there was a scientific explanation for it, and that I wasn't actually being haunted. I can't explain how so many people with sleep paralysis see similar demons, and how we all just know that the things we are seeing are evil, but it's something I choose not to think about too much for the sake of ever being able to sleep again. TL, DR, brains are spooky arseholes. I'm typing this quick at work. I apologize for any errors. I get to see mine about once a month, usually somewhere near the full moon, which is odd. It starts out usually with me waking up. I can always tell what is about to happen, so I try to scream and wake someone up to shake me out of it. If that does not work, I try to move my limbs and force myself to roll out of bed and wake up. This typically does not work, so I know it's time for the visit. A shadow forms along the floorboards of my bedroom and starts going up my walls. I can feel the presence of radio or TV static. This shadow starts to form into a demon similar to the early renditions of Slender Man. He has no eyes or face and just little balls of static where the facial structure should be. He slowly starts edging closer and closer to my face, and the volume of the static rises, and I can feel it very lightly shocking me. It then puts me in some weird trance by grabbing the sides of my face and screaming directly into it. This is the scariest part. The scream is so shrill, I can't even describe to you how terrible it is. As this happens, the room starts to turn red, and these giant arms start to form into long spikes. So, while I'm stunned or hypnotized, it starts taunting me with these spikes, rubbing them around my neck and heart, etc. He then reaches up and stabs me directly into the throat, and I wake up. I apologize again for sloppy typing. If enough people are interested, I'll post a painting I did of it, and fill you in about 3 other ones I get once in a while. I used to have sleep paralysis up to 10 times a night. Most nights at one point, I would wake up with that familiar feeling of buzzing or vibrating in my head. I would see flashes of light. That sense of dread and pending doom scared the shit out of me. I would even hear what sounded like English being said backwards, and obviously paralysis. I have a few different sleep paralysis demons, and one sort of sleep paralysis guardian angel. The demon ones are the usual shadowy figures standing over me or by my bedroom door. The worst one was while I was lying on my side with my back to the door, and it felt like someone got into bed behind me, under the covers, and put their arm around my waist. Then it felt like they were cuddling me until I could feel breath on my neck. It felt like they cuddled me for about half an hour. All this time I'm trying not to show that I'm panicking because it feels like I'm getting cuddled by a skeleton with claws. It was only about the second, maybe third time I'd had sleep paralysis, so I nearly had a heart attack when this thing feels like it's moving in closer to kiss me behind the ear. Worst of all, it whispered, "Not yet. You're not ready yet. I'll come back when you are." To me, it sounded disappointed and excited. It felt like it was silently telling me it meant that it was coming back to me when I was about to die. Scared the effing shit out of me. My sleep paralysis guardian angel was a weird experience. I'd been getting sleep paralysis on and off for about 18 months by this point, so I could usually tell straight away when it was happening. At first I thought it was the usual demon things beside my bed, but when I looked properly, I realized I could clearly see a man kneeling next to my bed smiling at me. It wasn't a creepy smile, more like a parent coming in to check on their kid. He looked like he was dressed in a 50s style suit and hat. He didn't say anything, although I got the sense he was letting me know everything was alright and he'd look after me. The strangest thing about my sleep paralysis guardian angel was that I felt like I knew him, almost like when you see a relative you were around a lot while you were really young and then didn't see for years, if that makes sense. I only ever hear about people seeing the demon things. I've always wondered if anyone else has seen any guardian angel type things as well. Again, I enjoy when we can highlight the occasional lightness of this sleep paralysis phenomenon, so if you have a sleep guardian angel, more power to you. Sleep paralysis is without a doubt the scariest shit I've ever experienced and will likely ever experience. That feeling when you're convinced there's something standing over you while you're trying while every fiber of your being to move any muscle is truly terrifying. I remember waking up wailing incoherently the first time I experienced it. Imagine, if you will, waking up and all you can see are tones, no color, and then suddenly realizing that you're actually seeing the insides of your eyelids and you can't even open them. And then I realized that I couldn't move, not one bit at all. I couldn't even twitch a toe. Normally, I would have been fine with this, but for one small, very insignificant problem, I felt there was a presence in the room with me. And I don't mean a ghost or a spirit. They're not spirits per se, they're more like a recording repeating over and over. This was something else, and it was coming towards me. This, for those who haven't made the mental leap yet, is something you do not want when you're paralyzed. My fight or flight response was going completely batshit insane, only I was unable to either of these things. I was pinned there, like a chair glued to a wall with no more nails. And then I had a sense of what the thing was, utterly evil. Positively demonic. In fact, all I could see were the hands. Gray, wizened hands cracked with age or evil, I didn't know which. There weren't any nails either. There were claws, filed to rough points. And this pair of hands was coming towards me, pinned on the bed. They may have been connected to something else or not. My mind wasn't exactly up to thinking about this at the time. So, to sum up, I was pinned to the bed with some kind of gray demon hands coming at me slowly, as though they were enjoying the complete and utter fear and terror I was experiencing at the time. And then it occurred to me to mentally shout for help. And then I saw, felt, and became aware of a light, the brightest I've ever seen, or will ever see, brighter than the sun. It was like a primordial light of the universe come to my aid to burn whatever this thing was that was coming towards me to ashes. My bonds were loosed. My muscles started working, and my eyes shot open, and thank F it was over. Effing sleep paralysis. Never realized this is what I had experienced until I started looking around here. Worst experience I had was with a devil-like creature, red and black with huge teeth that sat on me. It felt like I was suffocating me. I just kept pushing on my chest and I was terrified. I couldn't move or scream. What made it really bad was after I got up, my husband woke up startled and told me something had been pressing on his chest, trying to kill him. TLDR. Both me and my husband had sleep paralysis at the same time, with Devil Demon sitting on our chests. I have been having bouts of sleep paralysis since I was 16. It usually goes like this. I wake up from a light sleep. Sometimes my eyes are open and sometimes not. I'm aware of my surroundings and I can hear whatever is happening, but I cannot move. By pure force of will, I'm able to slightly move my head. If I begin to think about my breath, I usually start to panic because it is very hard to control. On a rare occasion, I will hallucinate while paralyzed. This usually involves a feeling or sound. I once heard the front door open and a cat meow. I then felt the cat jump onto the bed and rub its fur on my arm. I had no cat. The act of breaking the sleep paralysis feels like a battle of willpower. It's like trying to break free of a force that is holding you still. Each attempt is exhausting. It will usually take 4 or 5 tries, and after each try I feel myself sink a bit back into myself. It's like backing up to get a run at trying to break through a door. I push and push until I can't anymore. Eventually I push through and wake up all the way. Sometimes after I wake up I have a cloudy mind for hours afterwards. On real bad nights, I may have half a dozen or more bouts of sleep paralysis. I've developed techniques for dealing with it. Sleeping on my side is the best deterrent. If I can keep from getting panicked about breathing, then I am sometimes able to ignore it altogether and just fall back to sleep. This has been a great source of some awesome lucid dreaming. I've been dealing with it for 22 years now. You may find it comforting to know that not once have I been permanently paralyzed, obviously. I've always been able to get up and suffered little more than just being scared. I have on more than one occasion been paralyzed while watching the clock. I was able to see the passing minutes while I laid there. Because of this, I'm convinced it is a real thing and not me just dreaming I'm paralyzed. I also one time fell asleep in a room full of people and they witnessed my paralysis. They said my eyes were open and I was shaking my head slightly, but they didn't realize anything was going on. I was trying to get their attention to see if they touched me, if it would help. Hope I'm not too late to the party. Just made an account for this. I'm a seasoned WI lucid dreamer, and the demon and other evil presences you're referring to are actually known as the stranger phenomenon. Ooh. So, first a little history. Back in the day when we were all cavemen, possibly even pre-Homo sapien, humans used to wiggle about when they slept because their brains were still active, a lot like sleepwalking. Predators that would be on the hunt would see a wiggly human that isn't putting up much of a contest and eat him up. That was a problem. So our brains came up with a way to make sure our bodies would be safe for a certain time period, see sleep paralysis. So in order to look dead and unattractive, every night before you go into deep sleep, your body makes sure your body is gonna stay still. How? Your dope brain sends small impulses, itches, tickles, etc. throughout your body to make sure you're not still awake, and then basically paralyzes your body before entering dream world. Fast forward a few civilizations to modern history and your boy brain still got it. Your body still goes into sleep paralysis, your brain sends its impulses, and you enter dream world every night, unless you have some certain sleep disorders. But where do the demons come in? Remember the movie Inception? Well, think of your conscious self as Leo D and your brain as Fisher. If you remain still long enough, and I mean patiently without moving at all, you'll feel those impulses that your brain sends out to see if you're asleep. Ignore them. Think of these impulses as the first level security in the dream world of Inception. Soon enough, your brain will think it's safe to start doing whatever it is brains do when you sleep and paralyze your body. But you're still awake. If you go to sleep at this point, which is the goal of most lucid dreamers, you enter dreams consciously, which is a whole other fascinating conversation. However, if you try to move after the impulses, well, you won't. Your body will be completely paralyzed. Scary, huh? You start to panic, except at this point your unconscious brain is in sleep mode. Multiple neurons start firing off in your head trying to figure out what is wrong. Think of the high-level guards towards the end of Inception. However, Instead of having a traditional nightmare, your conscious brain tries to make sense of this neurotic pandemonium. You're in your bed, you can't move, and you're having a real-ass living nightmare in your living room. All that unconscious fear embodies a shadowy figure, cue sleep paralysis demon or the stranger phenomenon. I'm terrified of sharks and have anxiety, for example, but all of that terror or panic takes shape of this ominous dark being, and you're seeing it live in your room. Even though I knew it could possibly happen from lucid dreaming and how it is literally all in your head, the creepiest Twilight episodes cannot fathom how utterly raw the fear is. People who aren't aware of this, which is a safe majority, naturally think it's a demon or a spirit of some sort because what the F? The scariest, most fascinating part is that it is a very real phenomenon that you can do with a little practice. Don't want to practice? Too bad, because it happens 1 to 2 times to everybody in their lifetime. Reportedly, I'm at work, so I have no sources on me, but Google it. TLDR. Your brain has the power to visualize pure fear. Forget Bigfoot, son. I mean, it seems to make a lot of sense, so maybe you're right. Maybe this is all just the way we've evolved, and we're not aware of it, so thanks for sharing. You know how sometimes when you're leaving a room and you turn the light off, you suddenly feel like you're being chased and you need to run the fig off? It's that feeling all over again, sans the running bit. Drenches you in a cold sweat and sometimes a little urine too. I always go to the bathroom before bed though, since I'm a natural lucid dreamer and do sometimes get stuck in a sleep paralysis. It has only happened once to me, and it scared the shit out of me. I was taking a quick nap while my 2-year-old was napping. I woke up to hearing someone open my front door and walk in. The steps came to my door, and I saw it open out of the corner of my eye. The whole time I could not move or blink. It stood there for a bit, and then closed the door and went to my son's room. That's when I really panicked, and it was done. I could get up, and my heart was racing. Threw me for an effing loop. First time, watched a figure darker than the pitch black room walk from the hallway into my room. Then it bent over at the waist and seemingly stared at me about 6 inches from my face. Then it tried to rip my heart out of my chest by chowing down on my rib cage. Trying to scream was useless for what seemed like eternity. Completely frozen, finally screamed, guess I was coming around, and it exploded into a cloud and dissolved. Second time was playing in a metal band and crashed at our bass player's apartment. Had all sorts of pentagram and various hell-loving metal posters all over the walls in the living room. I was on the couch and watched the same dark figure I'd seen years before walk into the room and sit in a chair across from me. Stared again and pointed at me until I could finally scream. This time it just dissolved though, no explosion-ish thing. It's probably happened 3 or 4 times. The horrible part is, I didn't know what the dark man or sleep paralysis demon was until about a year ago. Just spent the last 20 years or so believing a demon was following me and liked to ruin my month from time to time. Judge if you want, but until you see that shit and feel how real it is, you won't get it. The complete relief I felt when I finally learned it was sleep paralysis was amazing. I have sleep paralysis and related parasomnias fairly regularly. Sometimes they are simple. A recent one that comes to mind involved feeling something moving just behind my back, which was very unsettling. My most coherent sleep paralysis memory concerning an evil presence involved me listening in on what seemed to be someone else's thoughts, only to have them sense my presence and start choking me telepathically. Unfortunately, I don't have anything visually spectacular to recant. Usually I'll hear evil voices or laughter and feel things touching me. It doesn't frighten me much these days, but it will cause me to wake up out of sheer annoyance.